We have 101 traitors who call themselves Republicans inside the House of Representatives. I would like to ask them, are they weak? Are they compromised in some way? Maybe they're being bought off. Maybe they're being paid by special interest to vote for this massive foreign aid package that will spend $95 billion of U.S. taxpayer money, $60 billion going to Ukraine, billions going to fund Gaza and Hamas, hundreds of millions of dollars going to fund the World Bank. What is that about? So I don't know one Republican who supports this bill that isn't an elected so-called leader in Congress. Every single person I talk to, conservative voter I talk to, says they don't like this. So these Republicans, 101 of them, 112 voted against, so you have a minority of Republicans joining with Democrats to pass this bill. Well, to me, they act the same way as the Democrats. In fact, look, they side with Democrats who say things like this.
Some say, well, we have to deal with our border first. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border. It's the border between depraved autocracy and freedom-loving people seeking our democratic way of life. Do we have a stake in that outcome? Yes. Undeniably, yes.
Folks, it's Gerald Connolly, Democrat. The Republicans, the 101 who voted for this, they ought to as well say the same things as he does. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border? I don't think so. Anybody that thinks Vladimir Putin is going to march his way on through Europe, he can't even beat Ukraine. How long has this war been going on for? You think he's going to steamroll Germany or France or Italy? No. And so the United States ought to say, you know what, Europe, you guys are on your own. You want to fund Ukraine to stop him from coming into your country? We don't think he's going there. You're on your own. We have our own bills to pay. But no, they don't do that. Speaker Johnson basically rolls over to the Democrats, makes a complete 180 from where he was before. Look, I don't need any more money for the border. I've said that over and over again. But how about some policy changes? You could get creative and find a way to ingrain it in law that remain in Mexico becomes law. Force Joe Biden into that. Force his hand on some of these policy ideas that could turn the border situation around. But no, he doesn't do that. Instead, he says things like this.
It's an old military adage, but we would rather send bullets to the conflict overseas than our own boys, our troops. I think we did our work here, and I think history will judge it well.
You know what history's judging well? Or not so much? $34.5 trillion in debt. I'd like to ask her, where are we getting this money from? You know, I tell my 15-year-old son, I use the same line my father used to me, and I'm sure his father used to him. Money doesn't grow on trees. But apparently in the federal government, you just print it until the point where we can't pay back the interest anymore. $34.5 trillion now in debt. Our deficit every year, which means the amount of money we don't have to pay our bills for that year, stands at $1.6 trillion. This is not good, folks. And it only gets worse under Speaker Johnson, who was supposed to turn things around. It is frustrating, to say the least. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene knows this. She's at the end of her rope. She was on with our buddies on War Room this morning.
They are absolutely done with Republican leadership like Mike Johnson, who totally sold us out to the Democrats. Joined the Uniparty faster than anyone we've ever seen in history, and literally made a night and day change in a matter of months. Betrayed everyone, betrayed the entire Republican Party, betrayed Republican voters, betrayed the Republican conference. And voters are so angry this time, but I'm really worried. I am really worried. They're so angry they're not going to give us the majority back in 2025.
Again, think about it. Speaker Johnson broke the Hastert rule when Denny Hastert was Speaker. He said we won't bring any legislation to the floor for a vote unless a majority of our conference Republicans support that. Well, this didn't fit that bill. A majority of Republicans were against this. You want to talk about a quick and fast lane to the uniparty? Marjorie Taylor Greene nailed it, man. Potomac fever set in very, very quickly for Mike Johnson once he took the speaker's gavel. So now I would offer this up. I don't want to watch things like this, but I think Speaker Johnson's responsible for why we had to watch this display from Democrats. Watch. That is them, folks. That is them waving Ukrainian flags. All right, there's video of it. Waving Ukrainian flags on the floor of the United States Congress. But here's my warning, okay? And I'm going to fire a shot across the bow to any Republican member of Congress who voted for this bill. You do not get to complain about Democrats waving Ukrainian flags. You don't get to complain about it. And if I hear one member of Congress who voted for this bill complain about Democrats acting like that, the fool, on the floor of the United States Congress, I'm going to go ballistic, and I'm already starting to go ballistic. They're part of the problem. They might as well just have been waving those flags themselves, these Republican traitors. Corey Mills can complain because he didn't vote for this bill. Listen to him.
I'm sure you're all as disgusted as I am with witnessing the flying of the Ukrainian flags on the U.S. Congressional Chamber. I want to be clear that the only flag that should ever be flown in our Congress, on our floor, in our chamber, should be the American flag. You know, I wish that...
That's it. That's how easy it is, the American flag. So we send $60 billion to Ukraine. They're waving the Ukrainian flag there. You know, Ukraine is supposed to be so oppressed by Russia. And let me make this very clear. I am no fan of Vladimir Putin. The man is a tyrant. I don't want to hear any of you out there telling me he's rooting out KKK members and all of these things. He's not. Vladimir Putin is an evil dictator. But Ukraine is just as corrupt as Russia. So let the two corrupt nations have it out. But we're told that Ukraine is under such oppression. It's such a devastating area. Do you know more bars and nightclubs have opened in Kyiv since the start of the war than before the war? And that's not from any conservative outlet. That's from CBS.
Despite the rockets, Ukraine's nightlife is rocking. The bars and clubs are full. The place is jumping, music pumping, drinks flow freely, and they dance like there's no tomorrow. And it's not just here. Fun fact, there are now more bars and restaurants in the capital than before the start of the invasion.
Folks, that's crazy Ukrainians just going crazy under the threat of war. What's going on over there? Somebody needs to wake up and say, you know what, we're not funding this. What are we funding? Are we funding oligarchs to open up nightclubs? Maybe.